Okay, let's unpack this. We are tackling one of those, just universally awkward social moments.
Oh, for sure.
Running into someone you absolutely should remember, and poof, their name is just gone from your brain.
Right. And today's deep dive is all about turning that social anxiety into, well, linguistic confidence.
Exactly. It's not just about fixing the mistake.
No, it's about handling the whole interaction with genuine fluency. The sources we're drawing from are fantastic for this because they go way beyond the usual textbook rules.
They're not just grammar exercises.
Not at all. We're looking at excerpts from a language learning lesson that focuses on real English, stuff people actually use to manage these slightly embarrassing moments.
So our mission today is to really distill those key linguistic tools, the verbal shortcuts maybe, that make you sound smooth and natural when your memory decides to take a little vacation.
And the whole thing is framed around this one scenario. It's a dialogue where a character, Nico, he runs into a woman he met at a conference, Lania Cox.
And he just cannot for the life of him remember her name.
Exactly. And that specific situation is the perfect laboratory for fluency. You've got high pressure, you need a quick solution, and you have to be polite.
Right. So we're going to focus on how these phrases help you put language together, moving you, miles beyond that clunky direct translation and into genuine conversational ease.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's jump right into the core of it.
Yeah.
The essential phrases that handle the actual act of forgetting.
The first one is just brilliant. It slipped my mind.
Slipped my mind. I like that.
Yeah, and if you just think about the alternative for a second, saying, I forgot, the difference is huge.
It is, isn't it? I forgot. It sounds a bit like an accusation, even against yourself. It implies carelessness.
It really does. But it set my mind. Well, that suggests it was a temporary accidental lapse, like a piece of paper just fell out of your pocket. It wasn't your fault, really?
It creates instant emotional distance. The source material gives a great example. I'm sorry I forgot to respond to your email. It just slipped my mind. You can use that exact structure for a name. You're not saying, I forgot you. You're just saying the data point, her name. It just temporarily malfunctioned.
And that is such a crucial fluency detail. It's smooth, it takes up a little bit of conversational space, and it just lets everyone move on without dwelling on the awkwardness.
Okay, but what if the memory just isn't coming back and you need an out? A swift, polite exit.
Ah, the tactical retreat.
Exactly. That brings us to our second key phrase.
In a bit of a hurry.
Yes.
This is your professional emergency button. The genius of it is that it frames your departure as necessary for external reasons, not because of the person you're talking to.
Right. It means you're moving really quickly, but it's just phrased so gently. I mean, if you just said, I have to go, that can sound so abrupt.
Rude.
But if you say, I can't talk right now, I'm in a bit of a hurry, you've added this layer of context. It suggests, I want to talk, but other things are pulling me away.
And it's so versatile. The sources give other examples like, I'm in a bit of a hurry, so I'll check these files later. It just manages time and social expectations perfectly.
And often, the best solution to the whole name forgetting problem is to pivot immediately to a professional task. And that's where the third key phrase comes in.
Contact details.
Contact details.
So on the surface, this just means name, number, email, all that stuff. But here's the deep insight, the real strategy.
Okay.
The value isn't just getting the information. It's the perfect social maneuver to get their name again without ever admitting you forgot it.
Oh, it's good. It's a distraction technique disguised as being professional.
Totally. So if Nico has forgotten Lanaya's name, he can just cut through the small talk and say, oh, before I rush off, I realize I need your contact details for that follow-up.
And if she hands him a business card, problem solved. Her name is right there.
Crisis averted. And even if she doesn't have a card, the request forces her to say her email, maybe even spell her name. You're managing a social failure by focusing on a professional goal.
Okay, so that's crisis management covered. Let's transition now, because the sources also get into the phrases that just build general conversational texture.
Yeah, this is where it's really interesting. We're moving away from the emergency vocabulary and into the subtle words that show you actually think in English.
Right, not just translate. And it starts with the word around.
Such a common word, but it's woven into these phrases that create a kind of a native texture.
So the first one is the simplest. Around here, it just means close by.
Right. You're not going to ask, is there a bank in this vicinity? It's too formal.
Way too formal. You just ask, is there a bank around here? It feels immediate, casual.
And to get more specific, you've got right around the corner.
Which means it's super close, but just out of sight, like on the other street.
Exactly. It saves you from giving complex directions. And then there's the one for a general past location.
Around there.
As in, I used to live around there. The word around signals, approximation or relaxed memory. It's not GPS coordinates.
It's just this little cluster of phrases that shows how fluent speakers use simple words to express all these nuances of proximity.
Which brings us back to the main problem, forgetting names, but from a totally different angle.
Okay.
Self-deprecation. The source gives us this really powerful phrase that lets you just own your weakness from the start.
I'm terrible with names.
Exactly. And it's so useful because it tells the other person, my forgetting isn't about you, it's about me. It just normalizes the whole thing.
And this is the amazing part. The sources reveal that Lenania, the woman whose name was forgotten, she herself says she is terrible with names.
It's a perfect loop. By using this phrase, you basically give yourself permission to forget.
And it's not just for names, right? You can say, I'm terrible with numbers, could you double check that figure?
Yeah.
Or, sorry, I'm terrible with directions.
Yes. It replaces a long, awkward apology with just a simple statement about a personal flaw. And that acceptance of imperfection is what makes a conversation feel real.
Which is a perfect lead-in to our third section, all about conversational tone and some real-world strategies. The sources make a big deal about how an interaction starts.
100%. The opener sets the tone. The material flags Lenania's first line, how's it going, as a great phrase because it sounds really, really natural.
And you can feel the difference, can't you? Compared to the more formal, how are you?
Yeah, how's it going is just more casual. It implies an openness, a relaxation. It makes the whole chat feel like a light catch-up, not a formal inquiry.
And if you start casual, it's much easier to then use one of those exit strategies, like being in a bit of a hurry. The shift isn't as jarring.
That's a great point.
And this focus on what's natural is just so beautifully highlighted by the anecdotes that the hosts of the original lesson, Stefan and Aurora, shared.
Oh, this part was fascinating. I mean, the sheer vulnerability. Stefan admitted to forgetting a family member's name at a family reunion. And that's a critical point for a learner. It proves this isn't just a problem for strangers at a conference. It happens to native speakers in low-pressure situations.
It completely normalizes the social flaw. It's not a cute story, it's a confidence builder. If a native speaker struggles, a learner should feel zero shame using a phrase like, I'm terrible with names.
Right. And then Aurora follows that up with this perfectly practical, really clever trick for business settings.
Okay, what was it?
She says, if you forget a name, don't apologize, just pivot. Immediately ask for the business card or ask them to write down their email for you.
That is genius. It's the ultimate deployment of that contact details maneuver we talked about.
Exactly. It does two things at once. It makes you look proactive and organized, and it solves your memory crisis without you ever having to say sorry.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? I think this deep dive really shows that mastering English, especially in these awkward spots, it's less about perfect grammar and more about mastering social strategy.
Absolutely. You're armed with the tools to describe your failures gracefully. It slipped my mind. You have the ability to confess your weaknesses. I'm terrible with names.
And you have that all-important exit strategy. I'm in a bit of a hurry. It's the social lubricant of conversational English.
It is. This is a roadmap for navigating these super relatable social failures. You're not just learning what to say, but how to deploy it under pressure.
Which is really the final hurdle to true fluency, isn't it?
I think so. Fluency is a performance of social comfort. The better you are at admitting a mistake or making a polite pivot, the more comfortable everyone else is, and the more natural you sound.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the fact that the host included those honest stories like Stefan's family reunion, it shows that vulnerability is actually an appreciated part of real English conversation.
It creates connection. It lowers the pressure. Which brings us to a final thought for you to consider. How does knowing that revealing a common social flaw, like being terrible with names, is so normalized, how does that make you feel about using English in those stressful, high-stakes moments?
Yeah, think about the difference between apologizing for a flaw versus just stating it as a fact of who you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most fluent thing you can say is just an honest admission of being human, but, backed up by the right phrase.
Use these phrases to build that comfort. That's the real key.
Something to mull over until our next deep dive. Thanks for joining us.